SMD Law is the official law firm of the Spartan Nation. Check them out on the interwebs at smdalaw.com or at 866-529-3537. No matter where you are in the state of Michigan, Upper Peninsula, Lower Peninsula, it doesn't matter. They have an office near you. So whether you need to send a letter to an annoying neighbor, or you're a criminal and you need defense, maybe you just have problems with elder law, check them out, smdalaw.com today. The official law firm of the Spartan Nation. Call them first, then you act.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Spartan Nation Radio. I'm so thrilled to have this next guest. Not only is he a very dear friend of mine, but he is a terrific coach at Michigan State. And the last time we had him on, I told you that he now should be addressed as Mr. 300 because he has won his 300th game. He is a terrific coach. In my opinion, he is just one of the best men that there are. I would let him coach any of my kids, boys or girls, in anything. He's a tremendous father. He's a great husband, strong man of faith, but he's just my buddy. The MSU baseball coach, Jake Boss. Mr. 300, how are you?
Doing great, Hondo. How are you?
Good. Okay, I have to ask, did you tell your lovely wife what I suggested, that she now address you as Mr. 300?
No, I did not. I left that one alone.
Okay. I have not seen her, but I'm gonna next time I see her, I am gonna tell her that I said that on the air. Jake, I want to dig in. The last time you were on the show, you had won your 300th game, and we talked about the fact that it was your team had just kept fighting and kept fighting and kept fighting, and it seemed like any time they would take a step, they would be two backwards. This was just one of those years, almost like Michigan State football in 2016, where they were snake bitten. Then they got hot and went on a streak, and they have. I know you lost 2 or 3 over the weekend to Maryland, but really, I think you've got to be proud. This team is putting some things together.
Yeah, Hondo. I think nothing has changed from the last time we talked regarding our team and the way they approach things. I think these guys just keep grinding and they keep getting after it, and fortunately for us, we got on a little streak there and enjoyed it. A couple weeks where we didn't lose and won 9 out of 11 at one point, and so that was that was great to see. Now we did lose 2 out of 3 to Maryland over the weekend. That was a little disappointing, but even then, we gave ourselves a chance to win yesterday in the bottom of the ninth, and it was credit Maryland. They made some pitches when they needed to, but the effort and the attitude of our guys is just tremendous. And we got 3 weekends to go. We've got a lot of baseball left to be played. We're right in the middle of the pack in the conference, and so we've given ourselves a chance. Our guys have given themselves a chance, and from where we started to say that we have a chance right now to compete for a championship, I think is something that they should be very commended for.
Jake, I got an honest question because I just don't know, and I apologize as your friend. I should have asked you this before we went on air, and I would have sounded smarter than I really am, and I'm not that kind of guy. But basically, does the Big Ten tournament champion get an automatic bid to the college baseball playoffs, to the tournament?
Yes, same as basketball. The winner of the regular season is the number 1 seed, but the automatic bid comes from the winner of the conference tournament.
So you guys, the fact that your winning streak would prove you have the ability. So let's look ahead. You head to Happy Valley this weekend. Talk about that.
Well, we do. We're off all week for finals, and so it's a week where guys can kind of shore up their academics and get that taken care of and buttoned up. And we'll be off today and tomorrow, and we'll get back to practice on Wednesday. Just a real short, light workout on Wednesday, and then we'll leave for Penn State Thursday and get a good workout in when we get to State College, and then 3-game series with the Nittany Lions on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So big weekend for us. They're all big at this time of year, but when you're on the road, it can make it a little bit tougher on one hand. On the other hand, we're done with school. We'd be done with finals at that point, and it's a time for our team to just kind of circle up together and play hard for one another.
I'm assuming this, but it has not always been the case in Michigan State's past. You will fly to Happy Valley, right?
No, we have never flown to Happy Valley, Honda. We drive. It's it's about a 7.5-hour bus ride, which is about the limit for me as far as where we would go. But unless you charter, it's really difficult to fly into State College because you can't get an affordable flight into State College, which means you usually fly into Pittsburgh or Philadelphia, and then you've got another 3.5 hours to, bus ride to get there. So, all told, it's probably quicker for us to take a bus.
Ugh. Yuck.
Tell me about it.
Now, sorry to ruin your day making you think of that. Okay, Mr. 300, I'll call Cheryl this afternoon.
Right.
So I got to get to a different subject, and I want to say this to fans, and if you're on this show or listen to this show much, you already know this. Coaches cannot talk about recruits until they sign their national letter of intent. So I'm not going to talk to Coach about any recruit specifically, but I can talk in general. Coach, times have been good in East Lansing when football and baseball have teamed up together. We've talked about this relationship a few times over the years and even earlier this year. But how exciting is it to be recruiting together with football?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's it's very exciting. I think for us. I mean, it's been done in the past. It's done currently at other institutions too, and then guys find, programs figure out a way to make it work. And in talking with Coach D'Antonio, we've sat down on a number of occasions and kind of discussed the possibility of a couple things. And he just keeps saying, "We'll make it work. We'll make it work." And I know that there was some there was a lot of interest from some recruits in playing two sports. Certainly not an easy thing to do, and it takes a special type of talent to do that at this level, at a high level. And so based on how NCAA rules work, scholarship comes from football. And so the majority of the time there and the priority would be football. And I completely understand that. I get that. But I trust Mark and I trust him when he says that, we'll do what we can to make it work. And I know it's worked, like I said, at other places, both in the conference and over across the country. And so I'm sure we'll sit down, this summer and try to map out a plan and revisit that maybe a year from now and kind of get ready. But, there's obviously spring football to deal with during during our season. At the same time, I think there are ways that we can make it workable for a student athlete without running them into the ground, so to speak.
So, Jake, let's talk about this because obviously for a player to do both, they've got to be a pretty darn good player. How does that help you in a sport where most fans don't understand you do not get the full complement of scholarships like football and basketball? In fact, scholarships, how many scholarships in total do you have?
Well, the limit in baseball is 11.7, and we are able to give up to 27 players scholarship money on a 35-man roster. And so, there's at least 8 guys that are preferred walk-ons, recruited walk-ons, if you will, that are not getting a dime of scholarship money. And then 11.7 spread out for 27 players is about a 45% average, if you split it evenly. Now we have, gone as high as maybe 75% for a couple guys. And we do have a minimum in baseball that, if you're going to give somebody scholarship money, it has to be at least 25%. So, it does make it challenging. And the fact that, baseball is a equivalency sport, and football is what's called a head count sport, where they have 85 full scholarships. And so if you get money, you're getting a full scholarship in football. And so, the money that comes from football, obviously, goes to their players. And then, so for us, it's important because, it's essentially like getting a free player. And certainly, tremendous athletes on the football field, and that will translate over onto the baseball field.
And that's what I wanted to get to. So when for you to take a kid that's going to play football, because D'Antonio's rule is if you're going to play baseball, he has no problem with it, but you have to play, meaning you have to be a contributor. So for you to get that kind of player, does that make you better because that's a kid you're not having to put on scholarship?
Without question, yeah. Without question, it makes us better. From a standpoint of getting a great athlete who can contribute right away at this level, and B, we've saved some scholarship money, and we can apply that to another guy that's going to help us become a better and deeper ball club.
Jake, is there any guys, not counting the recent commits from Michigan State from 2019 that you can't talk about. Is there any recruits coming into Michigan State in the 2018 class that you think could play baseball in the future for you?
Well, we talked a lot about the Trenton Gillison kid from Columbus, or the Columbus area, and he's coming in, I believe, as a tight end. And we've spoken on the phone a couple different times, and Coach D actually brought that one to me and said, this kid I think would want to play baseball. And so we're going to talk about that this summer. I think it's something where we're going to go out and evaluate him in the spring here, and then again in the summer. And but again, I'm open to it if they can come in and contribute right away. And Trenton's a kid that's extremely strong, with a lot of power, and hopefully that can carry over onto the field for us as well.
I'm going to tell you else too, Jake. He is a great kid. Absolutely.
He's a phenomenal kid.
Oh my God.
Phenomenal kid. And getting to know him a little bit over the phone, and then we've run into him a couple times here when football has had some recruiting days, and he and his family, just unbelievable kid who's going to make Michigan State a better place for sure.
We're talking to Mr. 300 himself, Coach Jake Boss. Jake, dadgummit, I was so disappointed when they had to cancel the game against Eastern Michigan at Comerica Park. And I have a question for you. You are a tough guy. You're not a little guy. There was no lightning.
No, I'm not.
There was no lightning. A little bit of rain. Why did they not play the game? I understand. I mean, was it concerned about ruining the field? What was it? I'm just curious.
Well, kind of all of the above. I think, it was raining, and it was raining pretty steadily.
It was.
At the time. And looking at the radar, looking at what the future radar showed that night, the rain wasn't going to stop. And, so it's difficult in our sport, in baseball, to start a game in the rain, because if it never stops, really does impact the playing conditions in the field, and, game balls. And, if you're throwing a ball at 92 miles an hour and it slips out of your hand, you can really do some damage. That's when guys can get hurt. And so, from a safety perspective, we looked at it, and the Tigers were great. The Tigers said, you can wait as long as you want to wait, but the tarp's going to stay on the field until it stops raining, which is the same thing that we would do if we were playing at McLean Stadium. And so, looking at the radar, I didn't want to wait to try to start the game until maybe 10 or 11 o'clock. That would be a bad decision for our student athletes. And so we waited about an hour, I think it was, and then made the decision at that point. We were disappointed, but I think it was the right decision. And, you can only control so much. I can't control the rain.
I was up in the press box just cheering. Come on, let's get this game in, because I love that. To me, that's I love that game. I just love that game. Lastly, there's for you, Jake, I just want to ask, I know that this season's not gone the way you wanted, but how fun is it when you look out there when things aren't going good, when all we hear about is millennials and they quit and they're entitled and all the crap that we see, and your kids are just fighting, scratching, doing everything you ask. In the midst of a disappointing season record-wise, are you able to appreciate that these guys are giving you everything they got?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt, Hondo. I mean, again, I think we talk about what can we control, and our players, I think, have a pretty good understanding of the only two things that they control are their attitude and their effort, and they show up with an unbelievable attitude every day. They give great effort every day. That's why a 7.5-hour bus ride to Penn State coming up on Thursday isn't that big of a deal, because these guys are just, they're a lot of fun to be around, and I'm proud of them. They continue to work and fight, and they're going to earn everything that they get, and they have that blue collar, lunch pail type of mentality that does make it fun to be around. And you hurt when they don't get the results that you want them to have, because you put in the time, and when it doesn't happen, it can be frustrating for everybody. But these guys, it's a selfless group. They just continue to get after it, and I'll take my chances with a group like that any day.
He's the great Jake Boss. We'll be back. Great Jake Boss. We'll be back. Great Jake